Hey everyone, I'm back and I've made another follow-up to that previous video of mine um, for this landscape project I have going inside of Unreal Engine. I've continued forward fleshing out some of these new features I can find inside of Unreal Engine 5.6, which is my current version. And my goals are to continue incorporating new systems like procedural generation and optimizing large open world designs such as this, and new tool sets such as PCG, nanite displacement, or soon to be my scene anyway, RVT, real time virtual textures, and I'd love to continue utilizing Gaia along the way and continue fleshing out the landscape terrain tools instead of Unreal. Um, nanite displacement would be a great uh, new feature to try out next time you see me, hopefully. Um, and as you can see, I've hand placed some actors of my own, such as these cloud cards and these mountain terrain pieces throughout the landscape. Um, these were generated inside of Houdini. Of course, Gaia was used for these pretty much all the landscape pieces you can find in my scene so far. And yeah, I'd be happy to break that down for you in this video and just show briefly how that was put together. And yeah, as well, some procedural sci-fi modeling, blocking in for whatever this might be in the future. Um, and I've been trying to find the right way to optimize this grass. I want to be able to place as much grass as I can without overloading my scene. Um, trying features such as PCG partition grids, um, keeping everything cold by distance, and of course making it so it is all nanite based. So this is just one LLD0 mesh for grass I put together, and its variants are being instanced across the scene with no LLDs, and I'm still getting roughly 60 frames per second, which is great. Um, and these clouds, they're all set to unlit, transparent materials. So we are not, I'm not actually using volumetrics so far in this scene. It's all the classic flow map cloud card method, which looks just as good at a distance and runs quite performantly. Um, and additionally, these mountains too, these are not so high res. I think they're only using right now they're using 2048 size textures, but I can certainly break it down to something lower than that, maybe even 512. But yeah, as you can see, it's all pretty simple stuff so far. My landscape being just the grid. Uh, and let's see what else is there to show. I think for starters, I can go into these cloud cards. Open up these materials, as you can see. Each cloud is based off an atlas that I've baked down onto a card. So each, like within the render itself on the VDB material, I should say, sorry, the VDB cloud itself, the R channel would be one lighting direction, the B channel would be a second direction, G channel is more of a overall ambient occlusion pass. And um, with these directions, I can play with stuff things such as intensity or power, so on. The alpha mask is being just that, just for the alpha, and combined with a flow map, which is painted in a way to suit the shape of the cloud, you would likely get a direction or a style that is both artistic and stylized to some extent. And I'm using some depth fade here to push it along the terrain, so it's not just a harsh cutoff where the card geo ends, where it intersects with the landscape, but it's being pushed out into the distance. This would, of course, raise the amount of the expensive nature of the shader, but I think it's negligible, so not too bad. I think, see here, if I play with these values inside of my instance, such as R channel, B channel, my depth fade, and you see how that will affect the look of this whole thing. So I can easily dial in these colors or these parameters to suit the scene instead of just you know doing guesswork inside of um, a secondary DCC program and just hoping for the best when I import it into Unreal. Um, and for these terrain pieces here, let me see. This is, as you can see, this is just the foreground landscape that I've imported into Unreal. Um, but I can open up something else. Let's try something like this. And I've really just taken the time to build out, each mountain or each piece as a modular element that I can rearrange within the scene. So um, something like this would be great. I've just played with the height parameters to build out some rolling hills, placing trees along the side. Uh, Go into here to realistic render. So nothing crazy, getting some basic stuff, and then populating trees along the side, doing texture bases, going into sat maps, blending it all together according to slope, according to some other masking data, and using the fancy tools in Gaia 2 like color erosion, weathering, and getting an output that I can export um, as a targa, or a base color anyway. Um, and from there, I can also export normal map information. So something like this, I normally what I do is I export the base color, the normal map, and I combine these textures inside a substance painter. I bake it down a high poly and a low poly there as well, and so I get more of a let's say um, easy to adjust method of putting together these assets and having something that's more game art, ready. And from there, I just bring it into Unreal. And then on, I have a very nice modular element, which is which is very low res. Even if we're using Nanite, I typically still, you know, the same game art rules and optimizations still apply. Adding billions of polygons into your scene is when it's not necessary is ill-advised. So I keep this pretty simple. Maybe like 13,000 triangles, whatever it is. Um, and normal map from there will do the rest of the work, bringing out lots of detail. And I'd like to, continue pushing forward the lighting scheme. And this HDRI I painted is just powering the skylight. And I have one single directional light actor so far that I'm just using together to get the scene brought up to speed. So yeah, I think the most advanced stuff so far, this PCG jibber jabber that I have in my scene, is when it comes to grass, I find that working with Illumin has been kind of a challenge. The moment I import these grass elements and populating them as instances across the landscape, the dense card nature of these elements will make Lumen think that it's one single object, and so you'll have very splotchy shadows across every dense part of your grass terrain. And let me see if I can show you what I mean. I go into, let's say, my PCG actor. So let me see where that is. I go to here, open this up. Inside of here, I can break this down later, but I'm scattering points across the scene. Each point is driving a grid, which is, let me see here if I can just debug this for you. Turn this off. That. So you can see I scatter the points like so as a grid. These points are then randomized, projected onto the landscape as a raycast. So, and I'm sorry, I'm not the best at getting this to be understandable, but if I turn this off and turn it off, go to here, projecting it. Yeah, there you go. So these points are projected onto the scene, and from then on, I can play with things such as density and distance from the original point. So what we're trying to do here is each point will, the center of it will have a larger scale for the grass assets themselves. The surrounding points will be smaller in relative size, such as you see in nature. When plants gradiate out across the landscape, they tend to spread their seeds or their offspring, and you'll have sort of a gradual um, sloping nature and how those clusters are formed. So I'm essentially just trying to emulate the same approach here. And once I do that, I can scale it by density with some parameters, and finally populate those points with grass. And anyway, so as I was saying before, inside of my static mesh spawner, if I go down to mesh entries and I find, let's say, one of the 4 grass pieces I'm importing, I scroll way down and I turn on Affect Dynamic Indirect Lighting. You'll see that the lumen will make very dark splotches across my scene according to these clusters, and it's pretty jarring. It seems also like recede out and just, I don't know. It really just makes the scene not really blend well together, of course. So I did 2 things. One, I found this check mark, and on each of my instances, I uncheck it. This way, I'm left with something that I can blend in with my landscape. I've also gone into every grass actor. So let me find one here. And I may have turned off, I'm sorry, actually I went into the material itself here, and I would turn on 2-sided, and I turn off shadows, or cast ray trace shadows here. So I'm getting more of an optimization there. And we may lose out on some shadow information, but I think if we're populating a grass asset like this one across a very large scene, you're going to have to make some sacrifices along the way. I've also gone into the Lumen Global Information. I type in, sorry, it is called post process. Type in post process. And I've also turned off underneath global illumination for Lumen, screen traces. So you can see if I turn that back on, again, you're going to get this pretty funky looking Lumen style shadow gradients across your grass. And I think this is a little too jarring for my scene. So making sure that that is turned off for now, and relying on just, let's say, more old school lighting methods to get the job done. That's going to be my my method going forward. So I'll see if I can push this lighting detail any further, of course. But for now, these are the changes I've had to make to my scene. And um, going forward, I'm going to plan to paint on the landscape um, more material definition, such as gravel, maybe cliff rocks, mud, all the different varieties you'd want to see, and continue scattering new elements with the system I have within PCG, and see how far I can push this open world setup. So far, if I type in stat FPS, thankfully we're still hovering at a very good value, even though we're don't know what that's doing over there. We're still hovering at a nice value, even though I'm moving my camera relatively quick across the scene. So going the right direction. Let's see what else I can do. Let's try jumping in with our any character here. Yep, still the same, 75 or more FPS. This is pretty solid and very encouraging behavior. So let's see what we can do, and I'll continue posting from here on out. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and I'll definitely get back to you. Thanks so much. Bye.